Hey guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart, and today in this video, I'll be showing you how to install the TST Industries Brake Light Modulator on your bike. Now, a brake light modulator, sometimes called a strobe, sometimes called a brake light flasher, what it does is basically enables you to install some electronics on your bike so that when you press your brakes, the brake light flashes in some kind of pattern and alerts the drivers behind you that you will be stopping. Our particular brake light modulator comes pre-wired to a plug that interfaces with a sub harness that we provide specific to your bike model that enables plug and play functionality with your bike. So that means that the installation is really fast and you can do it yourself. Now, the electronics inside, we do have the ability for you to program this unit to 3 different functions and then subsequently adjust the rate of the effect to your liking. Our first programmable mode is strobe-alert. This mode will produce 9 flashes and then stay solid for the duration of the brake engagement. Second one is intermittent pulsar. Each cycle will flash 10 times and then pause. And then these cycles will repeat for the duration of the brake engagement. The last available option is pulsar, and this one just basically provides continuous flashing for the duration of the brake engagement. Now we will show you how to install this. It's really simple. And then after the installation chunk, I will show you in detail how to get inside here, how to program the different modes, and how to alter the rate of those different modes. We did think about the safety of such devices during the design phase. So we decided to design this in a way that it will be a pass-through component. In case you experience a failure on board here, it will just pass through your normal brake function, which means you press your brake light lights up, there's just no effect. In case you do experience that failure, we do offer a warranty, so we have guys standing by in our support department that will take your call, email, Facebook message, whatever, and we'll get you replaced. And that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to show you guys just how easy this is to put on and configure. So let's get started.
So to begin this installation, we will first need to remove the passenger seat. However, before we jump into it, I do want to highlight for this particular model, the brand new 2025 Yamaha MT-03, we do offer an integrated taillight. This is a plug and play integrated taillight offered in clear or smoke that offers 9 different programming combinations, including the strobe brake alert. Now, if you don't want to open up your wallet and purchase one of these, but you want to introduce a strobe brake alert function, this is where our brake light modulator comes into play. So just keep that in mind. If you eventually plan on getting one of these, the brake light modulator will kind of become redundant, but it's nice to always have, maybe pass along to a riding buddy of yours. Moving on over to the bike. As I mentioned, we will first remove the passenger seat. And that will give us access to the passenger seat compartment. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab a 4mm hex bit Allen key T-handle, and we will remove the 2 bolts securing this shroud in between the rider seat and passenger seat. And we will gently push down and outward, freeing it from its holding place. And you can see the fasteners here. We just have a bunch of plastic tabs that snap into each other. Just be careful, be intentional, and it'll pop right off. Now at this point, we have this plastic tray located in the passenger seat compartment, and we have 2 push pins that are securing it in place. One is located right behind this fuse box on this side of the motorcycle, and the other is located in the same spot on the opposite side of the bike. So we're going to use a small pick tool, or if you have a flathead, and we're just going to release those. Now the one on the right side of the bike, the exhaust side, is very easy to carefully remove. And if you drop it, it'll fall right into the plastic tray that we are trying to remove. And here is one of the push pins. If you don't know how to remove them, the way they work is when activated, they are inserted and they are flush like so. And as you press down on them, you are allowing these extended tabs to compress, allowing you to remove the pushpin fastener from its locking feature. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. However, if you drop it on this side, it will fall into the abyss of Yamaha motorcycles. So please be careful. What I like to do is use a tool on one side to gently pry up, and then use my hand to catch it. Just like that. Be intentional, be careful, it won't be an issue. Now with those two push pin fasteners removed, we can go ahead and maneuver this out of the way. Now we don't need a ton of space. I'm really just trying to gain enough access so you can see what we are working on. Now, in a stock configuration motorcycle, all of these connections will be connected to something. You will have your two turn signal connectors, which are this white connector, and then the black one located all the way at the bottom. You will have this 2-position opaque connector that is for the license plate light. And then you will have a white connector that is in the shape of a triangle with 3 wires going into it, red, yellow, and black. That coincides with your taillight connection. And if you take a look at our taillight, we have the same OEM style connector with the same wire pinout. And if you take a look at our brake light modulator wiring harness, you have the same connector as well with the same wire pinout. And we need to actually connect into that specific connector. So if you haven't removed any of these Yamaha connectors before, they can be a little intimidating, especially on a new bike where they are very, very tight and haven't been taken on and off a bunch of times. So I'm going to illustrate it with our brake light modulator harness. And what you have is, you have a locking tab here that engages on this feature. And in a perfect world, you would press down on this tab and it would pop out like so. But on a brand new motorcycle, it isn't always that simple. Even less common when you are a new rider just working on your bike, you don't really have the confidence to do things. So I like to use a small tool. This pick would be perfect. A small flathead is another safe option. And what I like to do is sandwich the tool in between the tab and the lock, and then gently pry downward and slip it right out. That will save your fingers a lot of frustration and a lot of pressure and make it very uncomfortable. And it frees it in a safe manner. So now that we have disconnected the OEM connector, we can connect our brake light modulator harness. And this is a pretty direct swap. The locking tab on the taillight side connector will coincide with this open window on the receiving end. And you will hear an audible click, ensuring that the locking tab is engaged. And you will repeat the steps on the opposite side going to the bike's side harness. Perfect. Now we find ourselves in a very tricky situation. We need to secure our actual brake light modulator in a position where it won't just flop around in your trunk compartment. Now, can you leave it and it will be fine? Yes. But we don't recommend it. Motorcycles naturally go through a lot of vibrations, and this thing just smacking around in your trunk compartment, potentially being susceptible to rain or other outside debris, could shorten the lifespan of this component and void any warranties. So do it correctly as we instruct. And we even include 2 zip ties, one of which coincides directly with this designed channel on our brake light modulator. It will secure it in place, and you can secure this to a frame component or whatever the case is and be good to go. We also have this cap on top that you can remove and adjust the brake light modulator programs and the speed. So just a couple things to keep in mind before you secure this to your motorcycle. You want to adjust any of the settings at that point. And once you're happy with the finished look, you can go ahead and secure it. Now, to ensure we have proper functionality, we want to do a test. We're going to go ahead and connect it. Hear that audible click. And then we will take our key and turn our bike on in accessory mode. And at this point, you can see bouncing off my hand, I do have Actually, I'll use the seat, might help. You can see here I do have a running light. And if I press the brakes, we now have strobe brake alert. So again, we have a couple different modes in this unit and a small potentiometer that you can adjust to change the flash speed. But if you're happy with it straight out of the box, or straight out of the package, you can go ahead and now finalize this installation. Now, on the MT-03, we don't have a lot of wiggle room in terms of space to secure this to the frame. In this particular configuration, we have our undertail closeout on, and we will be installing our integrated tail light, so we have a lot less wiring in here that we have to worry about. Normally, I would instruct you to fasten it to a frame component running along the side of the motorcycle. And you can see if you actually fastened it right here, it would be perfect. It may be a little tricky to get a zip tie into that location, but it is doable. So I think that is what we are going to settle on for this particular setup and allow us to finish the job here. What I'm gonna do now is just pull some of this wiring towards the tail light to give us even more maneuverability. And when it comes to installing this zip tie, you can see here, we just have this rubber or silicone gasket that kind of protects your bike. We're going to slip this around this frame tube. And before we do that, a nice little hack you can do is pinch your zip tie and make a 90-degree angle. When you feed it in, it will now naturally want to curve back. And if you have small enough hands, or if you have a small tool, you can actually just pull it straight through like so. Now we will go ahead and grab our brake light modulator, put it into its resting position, and go ahead and zip tie this. So I will begin the zip tie just like that. And if you have some cutters, you can go ahead and cut off the excess wiring at this point. If you want, you can also just tuck it into your fairings over here, just push it out of the way. Very happy with this setup here. And it gives us still enough room to do some cable management in the trunk compartment, not get in the way of anything. If you have a twist tie, you can go ahead and use the twist tie to help with your cable management as well. Really, we just want to make sure that we are able to return this shroud back into its original position. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Now we have a tab located on this cover that mates into this metal or aluminum bracket here. So we are going to slip that into position like so, and then align the push pin holes so that we can reinsert the push pin fasteners. Now, in order to do that, upon removal, you have a setup that looks like this. What you'll need to do is just push in the opposite direction, the push pin fastener, until it is extended out or protruding out of the entry point. So you will end up with a situation like that versus what you had upon removal with this. Now with that in place, you can very carefully push on these collapsing teeth and realign this shroud so you have easy access and you're not fraying out any of these tabs. And we're going to very carefully, but again, intentionally, insert into the hole and then press down. You should hear a snap like that, locking it in place. And again, naturally this side is a little bit trickier. So I will count on my camera crew here to try and show you guys what's going on here. But again, we have it protruding out of the opposite end. We're going to align the hole to the best of our ability here. again, click. You are now locked in place. Now, if you've done proper cable management, please excuse my makeshift work here. Just to show you and illustrate everything that's going on, you have ample room here. Your component is secured to the frame tube. Now you can begin the reinstallation process. We will first reassemble and reinstall this inner shroud. And on each side, you have this small tab that should hook under the side fairing. So we're gonna lift up gently, like so, and just like that. We'll grab our self-threading screws and slowly fasten into the rivet. You do not want to over tighten these screws. They are preloaded. If you jump the threads, you will realize that the screw will never have the same integrity, locking integrity, as it once did. So again, bottom out, maybe go another 1/8 to a 16th of a rotation, and that will be all you need to properly secure those screws in place. And now we will go ahead and reinstall the passenger seat or seat cowl. And here we have two hooked features. They coincide with these notches. So we will slip down and push back, twist your key, and just like that, you're ready to ride.
For mode selection and rate adjustment, we will need to get inside this capsule to access the electronics. These two Phillips head screws will need to be removed. What I like to do is unscrew them until they disengage from the receiving threads and leave them in the cap. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to lose them. If we pull them off with the cap, they are self-captive. All right, now we'll identify the parts here. This button is the mode selector, and this potentiometer is your rate adjuster. Clockwise is faster, counterclockwise is slower. Let's first do our selection of modes. With the brake pressed, press the button once to toggle to the next available program. Now the brake does have to be pressed so that the unit powers up, otherwise you won't be able to make the selection. If you find that you've pressed the button but the selection has not been changed, just do it again with the brake pressed. So now we will go on to the next program, press the brake once more, press the button once, and now you're in the next mode. Now we've switched twice, so pressing it one more time will return to the original mode that your unit arrived in. Now for rate adjustment, we'll be using the potentiometer. With the brake pressed, we can turn it clockwise to make it go faster, counterclockwise to decrease the rate. Now in Brake Alert, you will only have 9 flashes to make your adjustment, and then it'll stay solid. This one doesn't actually lend itself to really fast flashing at the top of the range. Bottom of the range is unusable, so I like to set it somewhere towards 3/4 to maybe 80% clockwise, and that does it for me. Now if we change to the next one, this one is pulsar, and this one just keeps on flashing, so I like to have it going pretty fast here. Choice is really up to you. If you want to explore the next mode, we have the intermittent pulsar. This one to me belongs somewhere close to the top of the range, makes it the most visible. But again, freedom means choice. The decision is ultimately up to you. Once you're done with your adjustment and you're where you want to be with all your modes and rates, replace the cap, turn the screws back in, and it really is just that simple. Replace your brake light modulator in the space that you decided to keep it, and you're good to go.